Okay, so quick lesson here. I just want to take a moment to talk about some changes to the ReactDOM API over time. So as the React development team has upgraded to new versions of ReactDOM, there is a slightly different syntax to how we mount an initial React component to become the foundation of our React application. And I just want to show you both the syntax options in earlier versions of ReactDOM as well as the modern one that we have in our code base currently, just in case you are in any older React code bases so you don't get confused. All right, so let me take you to the next slide. This is officially the React documentation because they state it and explain it better than I could. So as you can see in that yellow box up top, there used to be a method in the ReactDOM library called render, and that was how we initialized the React application. So in the code example below, in that top section where it has that before comment, you can see that you would import a named export called render from ReactDOM. Then you would use the same syntax to query for some DOM node with a given ID. In this case, it is app, but we used root in our application, but same idea. And once we found that DOM node, we would invoke the render function from ReactDOM and then pass in an instantiated component right there, followed by the DOM node as the second argument. So the DOM node is where we wanted to render that component. That was the second argument to the render function, and the first argument was the actual React component to render there. That was the former API, so that's what you will see in ReactDOM versions 17 and earlier. What we have now in the latest version of ReactDOM is what we've seen in the code base we currently have, and that's in the example at the bottom of the code sample. So you can see now, instead of a render function, we have a create root function. We import that. We pass that the same argument, which is some DOM node in our browser, something that is already defined in that HTML file. In this case, for us, it was once again a div with an ID of root. We query for that with a method like getElementById. We take that DOM node, we pass it in as the argument to create root. Create root now returns an object to us that we here assign to a constant called root. And on that object, we have a method called render. So rather than render being a top imported function, render is now a method on this returned root object. And to the render method, we pass in our React component instantiation syntax or React component render syntax, whatever you want to use. Basically, it's that syntax of the opening bracket plus the component name plus the closing bracket. So as you can see, these APIs aren't terribly difficult to understand. They're just different. And I want to make sure, in case you are in an older React code base, that you don't get confused, because the example on the top is what the code used to be. And now the code on the bottom is what things are now presently as of React 18 and ReactDOM version 18 as well. All right, so it's not really important to understand the technical differences. It's just an API change, just a name change that's been upgraded or updated over different version releases of ReactDOM. That's all there is to cover in this lesson, so I will see you in the next one.